Hey Edmonton, this is Austin here from YEGnation. Today we are in the lovely area of Ward 12, actually where I live, and also where Mr. Nigel Logan lives. He's one of our Ward 12 candidates here. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Alex. My name is Nigel Logan, as you mentioned. I live actually very close to here, right here in Laurel. I'm running for Ward 12, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Awesome. So, I guess to start us off here, the location we picked here is the Habitat for Humanity site. So a lot of you guys have probably seen this in the news. A lot of people are coming by, checking it out. A lot of big names coming out. Talk a little bit why you picked this spot.
Yeah, so I saw this bill to go up. I picked this spot specifically because of a need for affordable housing and affordable, I guess, mortgages, if you want to call it that. Right now, the average house costs almost $400,000, and it's well out of reach among many people under 40 years old. And so it's an important consideration of what I want to bring forward to council should I be elected.
Awesome. That's fantastic. It's a great initiative. Obviously, there's no shortage of trying a lot of love and help in the world. So you can't get enough of that in any way, shape, or form. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to being into the election. Why as a young person, you're what, mid-30s?
I'm 33.
Right. Okay.
Actually, just in a couple of days here. So.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. So I got into politics because, well, I was always interested in politics. Let me preface it with that. I turned 18. I was not excited to go to the bar. I was excited to vote for the first time. But I found over the years that I would do a ton of research. Compare platforms, candidates, parties, and no one really reached out to me as a young person. It was always about, families and job creation. And, okay, well, when you're 20, 22, I mean, you're thinking about those things, but those are a few years off. You're thinking about tuition and where to live, how to get a career going, and nobody really spoke to me at that level. For a few years I stayed discouraged. I was a little bit discouraged with politics until finally 2 years ago during the federal election I got tired of complaining about my vote being equal to someone else's, and I volunteered for my first political campaign. So a few steps from here and there, started working for the local MLA here, and then now here I am running for myself.
That's very cool. So again, it's very awesome that you're one of the younger people that's running here. You're only running against Mobanga, if I'm correct, in this ward.
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about, this guy's going to move here, so just hold that question. So you're running with Mobanga. He is the only other competitor in this ward. He's been on council since last year. Tell us how you'd be, I guess, what would you be changing or liking that Mr. Mobanga is doing?
Well, I have to, on the positive note, I've met Mo a number of times through my previous work working for the MLA. He's community minded. I know he does a charity soccer tournament every year. I have to say it's great. I think it's important to have those kind of representation. To have that representation in the community. Where I would like to do things a little differently is partly the age and the energy factor comes in. But really, the priorities that I wanted to see in council weren't happening, and so my previous experience in jumping into the campaign, you can complain about it, or you can do something about it. And I mean, I know apathy is a problem. I mean, my friends there's always a battle trying to get them to vote, even now. But really, people won't pay attention to you until you vote.
Right.
And so that's the challenge, and without trying to get all high and mighty and idealistic about it, that's what young people need to do. Really, I would argue in the last provincial election, the only reason we saw a change is because people in their, the under 40 range started to vote.
Right. Well, I think that's a really important thing to bring up. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw it, but just the other day we went on White Ave. And we went on the Sunday night of the long weekend, and we met up with a couple people. We talked to 3 people, and only one of them said they was going to vote. We talked to 3 people, and only one of them said that they were going to vote, and the one guy that said he was going to vote was a gentleman riding a motorcycle wearing an Elmo costume. So that's what 30% voter turnout looks like, guys. But in realistic terms, all jokes aside, I mean, it is important to know that we need to have an even sampling of our voter pool so we can have an even sampling of our representatives on council. I think that's fair enough to be said.
Yeah, exactly. To add to that, 30% turnout, 35% was a high point in the last proper election in 2013 in the city level, and it's kind of disappointing. I mean, I will say, if you do vote, your vote's worth more than usual. This time around, based on previous numbers, that's what I tell people at the doors. It gets them to smile, but it's the truth. Voting is important. I would also argue that even getting involved is important too. Educating yourself, maybe coming up with a list of questions, sending a message to your councillors or your candidates' Facebook pages or emails or whatever the case you might think. It's important to get those questions out there. There are candidate forms in every ward and for the mayoral election coming up too. So if you want to really grill somebody on camera, that's
awesome.
That's the time to do it.
That's very cool. So in regards to that, that's something we've actually been talking about a little bit more recently, is the candidate forums. Tell the guys a little bit about what the forum is, like what the reason for the forum is and why it's so important.
So each ward, the city puts on a forum for every ward and for the mayoral election, but it's only one per ward. So in Ward 12 here, it's on October 5th. I encourage people to check out the City of Edmonton website.
October 5th?
There might be more than one. That's why I suggest looking there, because community leagues put them on, faith organizations put them on, all kinds of groups will put them on. I've gotten a few invites to them already. We're just trying to work out the details, and as the city knows about it, it gets published. Now those forums are your opportunity for, this is when CBC and Global and the big mainstream media folks come out and they ask questions. It's on camera, there's reporters, there's an audience, it's well publicized, so there's generally more people paying attention to this one. If you want to see priorities for youth, you should actually be asking questions. What are we going to do about affordable housing or housing costs? Or, the one I keep hearing about in Ward 12 is it takes over an hour to get to here to the U of A by transit. So what are we going to do about that? It's a huge chunk of your day, and not everyone can afford to buy a car.
Right.
So it's to ask these questions is very important if you want it even on the radar of your future city councillor.
Right. Well, and that's our job as a community and as citizens in democracy, is to get involved and to share our opinions because they matter, and they should be talked about.
Precisely.
So one last thing that we'll touch on here, being a fellow Ward 12, what's your favorite place in Ward 12?
Favorite place? Actually, the Meadows Rec Center. And I say that for a reason, because this whole area of the city was basically just acres of suburbia and not much going on. But as soon as that rec center went in and all the shops opened up, people started coming in, there's actual things to do. I'd like to see some more community development. For example, other community leagues in older parts of the city have halls, things like that. But that's up to the citizens to work through. The rec center is a real hub of activity. The library, the fitness facilities, and I am going to plug this, but Summerside desperately needs one too. And Summerside and Ellerslie, they're part of Ward 12, and it's a bit of a hike for anyone in those areas to go somewhere. So I've seen how it goes southeast Edmonton. I'd like to see it go to South Edmonton too.
That's cool. Well, it's awesome that we're right here in the corner of one of the 4 points of the YEGnation. In the corners of the map. So that's glad that you joined us today, Nigel.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We're always looking for more candidates here. Nigel's gracious enough to reach out to us. On Reddit, we actually originally got in touch, and that's cool. Like, that's some new age stuff, Nigel. Yeah, get in touch with us at wherever you'd like to, because we're on all platforms. We want to start conversations. We want to talk to the people that actually are watching these things. So thanks for joining us again today.
Thank you.
Habitat for Humanity's doing cool things. We're glad to be here, and we'll talk to you soon. This is YEGnation.